Like, that's why I was born, you idiot. You know.
Yeah. Are you in London?
I'm in London. I'm in Camden, good old Camden.
Yeah.
I've been in Camden since I came back from Serbia.
Right.
So that was when I was offered my flat by the council. Those days we used to have a council. But yeah, so I came back as I was destitute from the war. And yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about that maybe if you want. I mean, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a topic.
Sure.
I'm just checking in with your sound. It's a little bit in and out.
Is it weird?
A little bit.
Should I come closer?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
I know, we're both like that.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Fucking good.
Technology, eh?
Yeah, I know.
But it's saving lives, so.
Good. So are you going live or are you just recording this?
Just recording.
Okay, cool.
It's called the ZenAF Fuck Show because we're breaking down some boundaries of weird guru hero worshipping weirdness.
Oh god. Yeah. Oh jeez. So plenty of that.
Yeah.
Idiot stuff. There was plenty of stuff when I was first starting. It's just like sickening. I don't know how everybody gets into that. Like they lose all their sensibility. But let's go into that. That'd be really good.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if actually your have you got a microphone on your ear things?
No.
Rubbing.
Oh, it's hang on. Is that better?
That's the one. We've nailed it.
All right. That's fine. Good.
There, darling.
Where are you, honey? Where you hang out?
I'm in Oxford.
Oh, okay.
Living the dream, living at home with my parents at 38.
All right, great. So what?
Brilliant.
So what? What a privilege for them.
Sometimes, yeah.
It's great. Well, I mean, you know, wherever we find ourselves, is we just say, okay, this is a place to be. Give up the struggle.
I'm totally up for not struggling, and
stupid.
So it's great.
Yeah, because that's a whole load of propaganda that we get everybody moving around on that one.
Yeah,
so, sure.
Look at Asia. Everyone still lives at home with their parents. Like,
sure.
Great. I get to cook meals with them and hang out and have a laugh. It's brilliant. That's right. The West Bank Arabs, you know, I mean, the ones been with them since 2000, been there for 20 years, and they all live with their parents. I mean, they drive them nuts, but you know, but it's beautiful. They have community. You know, we have community, not like these little, you know, separated peoples, you know, living in little hutches, waiting, you know, for the man to give them a morsel, you know, here or there. So I think it's very important that we have our communities, and that's another thing I really want to talk about with you, my love. So that's totally what we're on. So cool. Introducing you as the you know, bad boy of yoga and a spiritual master of love and a humanitarian, which is just banging, mate. So take us through sort of your experiences in war zones and how you think that the sense of community there is to what we're dealing with right now in this pandemic, which for me feels a bit war-y. Yeah. Do you want to start now? Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I mean, I'll just tell a little pop history of it. I've been a yogi since whatever, and without going into my background history, and my father was quite a well-known singer, and we traveled around, you know, in theater. So I grew up in the theater, and I saw that most things that are presented by governments and society is a theater. Totally. Yeah, and so we always have two things in theater. You have the performers and the audience. And the audience don't have to be the audience, they just elect to be the audience, okay? So if you just stay as an audience, you lose out on the wonderful dynamic of also being a performer in your own life. Anyway, so long story cut short, I ended up running a restaurant called Manor Restaurant in Primrose Hill. It's like the oldest vegetarian restaurant in England, because I couldn't earn a living. I was starving alive, earning a living as a yogi. In those days, in the 80s, it was like just hippy dippy, and you must be out of your fucking mind, you know. Yeah. So I loved it, you know, and I was a singer before that. I'm still a singer. I have a big band now called King Hippie. But in those days, we had some minor hits and stuff, and it really wasn't doing any very well. So You know, I just felt, everyone said, would you do some more classes? I said, sure. And I always broke the rules. I figured, you know, like if there's a rule, let's break it and see what happens. Okay, right. So I broke the rules in everything in my life, you know. So my family were like, oh, what the fuck, you know. But my dad was the one who stood by me all the time because he was an artist. He was a painter, actually, before he became a singer. So he always said, you know, he said, listen, son, the one thing you are is you're creative. Create. And you know, he gave me the passport to my life, to all the philosophy that I teach and everything I've ever done. So big ups to him. My mother was into control. And bless her, but you know, that's why their marriage didn't really work. But I understood that when I left. So I ended up in Yugoslavia. I was running this restaurant, Manor Restaurant, and I made a deal with the sky one night as a pagan, because I'd been a practicing pagan for many years and a qualified witch and all that sort of stuff. I said, you know, I was in the wrong relationship, in the wrong job, and I said to the full moon, if there's anybody listening to me, could you get me out, please? And the next day, someone came into the restaurant. A guy called Preston Heyman. He was the drummer with Kate Bush and all of that. So Terence Trent D'Arby and blah blah blah. And you millennials listen to this, you won't even know who that is. But anyway, there you are. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, he was a great. He's a great drummer. And he said, there's a job going in Yugoslavia to run a radio station. So there's also a DJ. And it's like a lot of money. And I said, why would I want to go there? They just started a war. You know, I mean, why don't we go and work for Gaddafi? He said, well, it's like, you know, it's £1,000 in your hand and £600 a week. In those days, this is like 89. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Still a lot of money now. Yeah. So I thought, well, actually, you know what? I made a deal with the sky. So I went. Anyway, that changed my entire life. I met a girl out there. I had a fabulous time. For 2 years, it was like a gravy train. We were on the radio with, you know, I was the Vukodlak, the wolf man, and it was fabulous. Then the war kind of cut in, and the radio station got bombed. You know, we got wiped out, and everybody left. And I had a Serbian girlfriend, and I was in love, you know, I fell in love with the Serbian people because my family are Russian, so they're kind of similar, you know. It's kind of a good, great community, you know, fabulous. So my boss, Dragan Radnic, she says, "Why do you stay?" I said, "You know, I love these people, and you know, I want to stay." He says, "You know, your problem, you have a Serbian soul." He says, "Your heart's bigger than your brain." So I said, "Yeah, I know that." So I stayed. I became like a Balkan postman, Pat, whilst Milosevic was killing his own people. I was bringing in supplies from the West, you know, powdered milk, all sorts of drugs that they needed. He was killing his own people, basically, for the war effort.
Yeah.
And then I took mafia money, blood money, from Dragan, and I had this crazy idea because I was running the radio station on my own to interview celebrities. So they smuggled me out with a Serbian cameraman with like 1,000 Deutschmarks stuffed in our knapsacks and our shoes, because there was no plastic in those days. We're talking like 92, 93. Actually, it was 93, I'm sorry. And I went and I arranged interviews with people like James Brown, Mother Teresa, the Neville brothers, John Lee Hooker, B.B. King. I mean, it goes on, you know. And so we got smuggled out to the West, and we did all these interviews. We came back. I was nominated by Prince Karađorđević as a great Serb. I changed my name to Saj Stojanović. I was a Serbian then. And Gospodine Saj Stojanović. And then the war cut even closer, and I had everything, my passport stolen from me. The military police were hunting people down, dragging people. A lot of the people I used to speak to on the radio were dragged out and shot in the head, killed, because they didn't want to join the war. A lot of people dissenting, of course. And I was hidden under the floorboards in the cupboard, so I owe my life to the Serbian people. So I've seen the horror of all of this. And finally, I found a way to come back to England. When I came back to England, before I came back to England, I was ending up teaching soldiers yoga for food.
Right.
That's how, yeah. So they called me doing it. And they said, what is this? Because they used to turn up James Brown real loud on the hi-fi to drown out the sound of the fucking war.
Yeah.
So I said, this is yoga. Yeah, it's what I do. And I allowed myself when I was in the war to work with yoga in a way that I'd never worked with before. Because I was an Ashtanga teacher before I went out. I was, I was doing all the 3 series, and I was really, up my own ass, about my own ego. And I was so, it was ridiculous when I look back at those days. But, it's a stage you go through. Hopefully you go through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So hopefully you come out the other end. The tragedy is we stay stuck, So I came back and I thought, if I ever get back to the West, I'm going to teach the way I taught in the war.
Okay.
And that's what I did. And no yogis would come to my classes in Finsbury Park. Only the clubbers and the body workers. And so they I had lots of body workers coming out saying this is the best thing you can do for your body. And then finally I had a fatwa put on me by the yoga fraternity. I don't want to mention any names. But they just said, don't go to his class. He's destroyed 5,000 years worth of yoga. Yeah, I mean, that came out in the press.
Oh my
So,
word. That's
yeah.
a claim.
That was pretty,
But also, well done.
Well, I kept going. I didn't know what else to do. So that's
Yeah.
what I did. So, and I don't give a shit about these people. They're just establishment like everything else. And, if I listened to the establishment, I'd never have lived my life. Yeah.
There's loads of them. We're all subject to them.
Yeah. So there's yogis in every age. We're born, thank God. Witches, yogis, metaphysicians, we're all the same thing. We just have different practices. And we live by our internal God, our internal divinity. And that's what, Plato, Socrates, all of them were watching that. They weren't watching the outer politics. I mean, that comes and goes. These politicians, they come and go. They're just nothing. They're slaves themselves, So we have to understand. And for thousands of years, it's been the same. It's just the same pattern. So I came back and it became very popular. And then I was doing big festivals like Big Chill and WOMAD and Glastonbury. We'd have like thousands of people. And I'd work with DJs and drummers. So yeah, I still do that. And I found myself, then I was invited to come to Israel. And they said, would you come and teach? And I said, well, yeah, I'm happy to do that. There was some big festivals there called Bumba Mela and Shantipi and all that. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, but I only do that if I can teach the Palestinians. And they said, no, there's a war with Palestine. There are enemies and, we can't do that. We'd love to, but we can't. I said, well, I don't know what an enemy is. I've never met an enemy. They're just defined as enemies. They just hurt people. And there's a robbery going on somewhere.
Yeah.
You just have to look. And so there's, no, please reconsider. I says, no, that's it. I was born a Jew. I'm not a practicing Jew. I can give it, there's some lovely things about Judaism, but it's just another history like any other history. We're no better, no worse than anybody else. And if we can't get past that shit, nobody on this planet is going to evolve. Okay, that's the first thing. And I'm a social anthropologist, so we haven't got past Homo sapiens, and we're stuck at home. I mean, how come all that happened, man, was like the frontal cortex of the brain developed. That's it. Yeah. Period. And we go, that's it. Really? Are you serious? And yet, there are beings throughout all of history who says, there is another aspect to life. There's a higher vibration. There's a high dimension, and the Timothy Learys of this world and all of the rest of them get, oh, no, you're an idiot. Really? Because it doesn't fit in with your rhetoric, Anyway, so I forgot my word. Oh, yeah.
Well, Palestinians, you wanted to teach them.
Yeah, so they said, finally they agreed after 3 times of being invited to the West Bank. So I did these big festivals in Israel, and then I went over to the West Bank, and my first class was in Jericho, and I had 20 Palestinian women and men in front of the mosque while the imam is calling the faithful for prayer. I'm on the lawn in the mosque with a massive, great ghetto blaster, and I got these these women and suitably dressed men, Muslim men, rolling back with their legs up in the air, and I thought, fuck, I'm going to be shish kebab, There's no way I'm getting out of this shit, And they love me, you know, they were, oh, this is great.
Love
you
the
know.
Croatian, of course.
Yeah. So, you know, and so I, you know, I let them, and people say, oh, do they know you're a Jew? I said, sure. You know, I tell people the best protection you got in life is to be completely exposed.
Totally. Yeah.
Don't hold anything. And then if people don't like you, you're with the wrong people. And, you know, that's for me, the ultimate. Anyway, so on the way back, they said, this a couple of Nahed and a couple of others, they said, oh, you know, we feel very sorry for the Israelis. So I said, why? They said, well, you know, they don't eat the right hummus. So, you know, take our hummus because, you know, these poor bastards over there, they eat the wrong stuff. So I took like 2 pots of hummus for the Israelis. So I did some classes there in Israel and they paid me because that's how I was funding it. And they said, you know, when you go back to Palestine, where are you going? Going to Palestine? I said, sure. They said, okay, you know, these idiots over there, they don't know the hummus. You know, my mother made this hummus, take the hummus. So I become this hummus mule. I'm going back and forth. It's insane. So in the end, my students on both sides wanted to meet. And in 2000, let me get this right, 2016, that's right, 2016, they said, okay, so we'd love to meet. So I got permission from the Israeli army, who never get permission for this sort of shit at all.
Yeah.
For 18 Palestinians to come over to Israel, to Jerusalem for a class. And I brought a whole bunch of yoga teachers in a bus from Tel Aviv. And on the bus going there, and they were all like really excited, you know, these Israeli teachers to meet these Palestinians. A woman came up to me, she said, can I speak to you? I said, sure. She says, I've never met any Palestinians before, and I'm really scared. What are they like? I said, what do you mean? Like they got 3 heads and 20 arms or something? She said, no, what are they like? I said, well, they're like you and I, except they just speak another language, a different culture, a different religion. I said, why are you so frightened? She said, well, because they killed, you know, the Palestinian in the war and the kibbutz. They killed a lot of people in the kibbutz with the bombs and everything. And I said, they just hurt people just like you. You know, they got a story their side as well. Anyway, so that was it. So we got off the bus, and all the Palestinians are waiting outside this the American Colony Hotel, who run by a Palestinian who said, yeah, I'm up for this to sponsor this. And then they all started intermingling by themselves. They didn't need any introduction. And I turned around, and this woman who had been so frightened about the Palestinians, she's hugging a Palestinian woman, and they're both sobbing, and they can't let go. And I thought, fuck that. That's my work, man. Right there, that's my work. You know, that I don't care what I do, whether it's music, whether it's yoga, whether it's whatever it is, that's my work. I'm living for those moments because that's golden. I take that with me. Nobody can take that from me. I don't care what's going on in this ridiculous society right now, clamping down on everything. You can't take that shit from me. Okay? So these are the diamonds we find in our lives. And so for me, all I teach in my life is what I live, which is getting high. How do you get high? Because getting high is the ultimate ideal, you know, to raise the vibration of yourself. As soon as you do that, you see life differently. You know, you say, well, okay, so here's the thing. In kinesiology, you got like 0 to 1,000, okay? So if I put my arm out and you press 5 pounds in it and say, what's your name? And I say, Bill Smith. My arm goes down because I told a lie. Yeah. If I say David Sight, goes up because I told the truth. So protoplasm becomes strong in the face of truth. You know, so we can, there's a scale of about 0 to 1,000. 1,000 is about as high as you can go for a human. And 500 is what we call love, unconditional self-love. At 500, everything is beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like I tell this story, it cracks people up. My brother Dave, he's part of King Hippie, and he was kind of like, a while ago, he was going, oh God, you know, I'm in love with this girl, and this is the street where she lives. Isn't it beautiful? I said, Dave, it's a fucking street. He said, no, it's beautiful. I said, Dave, it's a street. Get a grip, man. I said, you're just in love. So everything you see is beautiful. Okay?
Yeah, great.
That's the deal. So you don't have to go anywhere to be on holiday. You don't have to be anywhere to find heaven. Heaven is where you're at.
Yeah.
You know, and I interviewed this guy called Dennis Banks. He was like one of the greatest leaders of the Native Americans. He was in the embargo against the American government in '73. He barricaded himself. You guys can look him up. Dennis Banks, what a wonderful guy. He gave me an interview in the middle of the Serbian war. And he says, power is drawing a circle around your feet and seeing yourself only through your own eyes. Only through your eyes.
Yeah.
Not through someone else's eyes, not by society, not by, Boris Johnson or anybody else so concerned with your health.
Yeah.
Through your eyes, man, through your eyes. Make up your own decision. You came here, you came alone, and you leave alone. And we need more yogis. We need more self-actualized people to, because you can't control self-actualized people. You can only control sheeple.
Definitely, 100%.
So there you go.
But
I'll shut up now.
I was going to go from that. We need more real yogis. I just wanted to put the word real in there because obviously there's a load of what I call mega benders, and I use that term lovingly for myself. That term because I am not straight myself, so I fully owned that as my job is an international professional bender.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
the connotations of being gay is just happy, so that's awesome. So
that's right.
We need more people who aren't just doing the physical. Like we can see that on Instagram, and oh my god, it does my tits in to see constant, semi. I mean, I'm fine with semi-naked, but doing it in the name of yoga, making it soft porn and acrobatics, is, their own, but it's just not how I'm vibing, basically.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
sure.
That's so exclusive, and it doesn't inspire me. It doesn't inspire the people who come to me as well. They want to be somewhere they feel comfortable, not judged. They feel inspired and connected. None of that shit's connected.
No, it's not. It's not.
So yeah, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how potentially like the guru culture, what's gone on there, and the exclusivity of yoga, and how really we should be doing what you've done, which is real yoga. People wouldn't see that as yoga. The peace work, the love, the community work. Whereas for me, that's all it is. That's why we're trying to go brilliant, bosh off. I want to have a cup of tea with that fella. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. I got to talk. There's another great yogi. If anybody's listening to this, she is just fucking off the planet. Samadhista. She's a great freedom fighter. She comes from a long line of freedom fighters from Spain. She's gay. She's one of my. I say to her girlfriend, listen, if I was a woman, I'd give you short order, baby, because I'd run off with someone. She's just fucking fat. And she came with me to Palestine, and they all fell in love with her. And it's all about, the biggest myth is gender. Yeah. The biggest myth is gender. I mean, I'm heterosexual, but the next minute I may be homosexual. I have no idea. You don't know, but so what? Why are you frightened? I remember like performing a woman called Hillary Goldbeck. I was before Boy George, by the way. I dressed up in a woman. Yeah, and I lived as a woman for like an outward woman. Yeah, for a year. I did it. Not that I'm.
How did you fit all this in, David?
What?
How did you fit all this into your life?
I don't know. Just I always thought, oh, that's the way it goes. Let me see what the opposite is.
Sure.
I was always into the opposites. So I was like, well, everyone's doing that. Let me see what the other way is. And let me see if I fuck it up a bit more, put a bit more time, maybe I make a mess, but you know what? Maybe I find something unique. So I was always striving for that. And that's what I really loved. So my dad was a painter, he was like, and I come from a long line of creatives, and it's, I want to honor my ancestors. I want to honor the artists. The artists are the only thing we find in every society, the artifacts. Yeah. We don't find the political speeches. Nobody gives a shit about them. They all come and go. Yeah. I mean, we got Attila the Hun. We got all these people. We had, all of these messianic, narcissistic megalomaniacs throughout all of history, all trying to control exactly what's going down now. Was happening all throughout history. You can see it. Yeah. What happened to all of them? Goodbye.
Yeah, I think you actually mentioned that before, actually, about politicians. When you mentioned the two women hugging, you were like, that happened with no politicians there, right? That happened
Yeah.
with no control. No one told us what to do. That was like instinct and attraction, and like peace and love was just actually what we're all about.
That's our next step to evolution.
Hmm.
Listen, if our yoga community, if all the free thinkers listening to this now can't have the balls to step up, we will never evolve as a species. In fact, the species will die.
Yeah.
If we start, and I really, I'm a true hippie. I came up through that period. I was born in 1960, you know, and I came through that period. And it's Timothy Leary and all the rest of them made me go, aha, okay. Then as a you know, an anthropologist, I could see it going through history. And it's pretty obvious. I mean, you don't have to pass third grade to figure this one out. That the ultimate is feeling joy and freedom. Freedom, love, and God are the same things. You can talk about God. I would say, well, I don't believe in God. Okay, I'm going to put a gun to your head. I'm about to pull the trigger. Guess what? You're going to call on someone, and it's going to, you know, it'll probably be God. Okay, you'll call on something because, when you're right on the edge. They used to say in Serbia, they said, you think a guy's a really big, tough guy, catch him just as he's about to leave the body. You're going to see something very different. So I learned a lot of this stuff in war. I didn't learn from books. You know, I studied, of course, but really the stuff, the provability was living it.
Yeah.
And when a bullet hits a wall just 2 inches from your face, you kind of go, oh, by the grace go I. I don't know how long I have. None of us do. Anybody listening now doesn't know how long they have left. So while you're here, cut out all the you know, all the Faucis, all that stuff, because honestly, you don't know how long you got. And you can't leave a second before your time, by the way.
Just FYI, everyone.
Yeah, it's actually immeasurable.
Right.
The time of your time of your departure and the time of your entrance.
Really?
By kinesiology. Yeah, most people don't want to do it.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. It's a full moon today.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, that's the ultimate freedom ticket. It means nobody can take you out before your time. So while you're here, do something you're proud of, because very soon you'll be outside of the body.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, I've been out of my body 3 times now, and all of that sounds like a lot of hippie shit. Read Proof of Heaven by Ibn Alexander, one of the leading scientists in the States. Read any books, any metaphysical books. I mean, I was thinking about Robert Lanzo. Robert Lanzo, he's rated as the 3rd most eminent scientist on the planet. And he's written several books which talk about the eternity of life. He said consciousness exists before life, before your material life, and long after the body's gone away. And he's one of the most eminent scientists on the planet. So if you're just putting all this in the hippy, dippy, ridiculous box, go and check these people out. Use your brain and check it out. You'll find out, oh, hang on a second. This is different from the rhetoric around you. So most people just want to get fed. So they do what the man tells them, okay?
Correct.
And there's you know, I'm going to do this and I'll get fed. And in order to do that, we're programmed from little by saying, what do you want to be when you get older? Like, you can only be one thing, okay? What do you want to be? And then from the age of 7 or thereabouts, you get programmed, you get thrown into school. Nobody says to kids, well, what do you think? They just say, learn this.
Yeah.
Shut up and learn this. You know, well, they did in my day particularly, and I know throughout history they've done that. So we get programmed. And I think getting unprogrammed, getting unfucked up.
Yeah.
So we get fucked up, get unfucked up, and ask yourself, why am I thinking this way? Because what it does, you destroy yourself. And we need little communities now.
Yeah.
We need our communities. I got my community. You know, like my blood family, you know, they're all somewhere else. But I had a hip operation and there was none of my so-called family around. I won't go into all that, but we had partings of the way quite a long time ago. And my homies, my real close one says, you know what, it's unbelievable. You had a hip operation and nobody calls you from your family. You can't even understand that. At that moment, my phone went off. And I said, hello, who's that? This is Mohammed. I said, Mohammed who? And he says some name. He says, you know, all of us in Palestine, we know you have operation. And I'm in London. If you need money, if you need food, you know, we love you, brother.
What?
Your family. He said, I'll call you tomorrow. And my eyes filled up with tears. I put the phone down and I said to my friends here, I said, there you are. I said, that's the success of my life. There is no success. Forget about X Factor. Forget about all these accolades from the Queen. Who fucking cares? If you got people who love you, who say, you're one of us, you're a brother, you're a sister, that's as high as you can go.
Definitely.
That's it, man. That's it. That's all I want.
That is community, and it just goes to show as well, it doesn't have to be immediately around you all the time. It's like building those connections, and they're solid enough to carry it, and you can just build it and build it. Oh man, that's amazing.
So if you want to find your real family, you know, if you want to find your friends, the ones who loved you, be loving. Do something for somebody for no reason at all. Yeah. You'll find life is beautiful. See, the thing about people in our society is they think, oh, if I take something, if I get this. So, you know, you got all these megalomaniacs on YouTube and on Facebook, you know, look at me, look at my ass, look at what I'm doing on, you know, and la, la, la. If you want to make someone happy, give something to somebody. I would say, look, this is my price. You can't do it for that price. I'll do it for nothing. They say, why would you do that? I said, because my source of supply is not you. It's life. Yeah. If I make you my source of supply, I'm a fucking slave. Mm-hmm. You think I'm a slave? No, I'm not a slave. And I want to live as the eternal soul that I am. Okay? You can never take me out because I'm, you know, I was infinitely here many, many lifetimes. You know, I can't really go back to Serbia because I was threatened by the yeah, can we talk about fear a little bit?
Oh my goodness, definitely. I wanted to talk about fear, especially because of the pandemic and stuff as well. Right. So yeah,
sure. 100%. All right. Well, we did. I was in, you know, in Serbia. I got to know most of the warlords, and they, you know, because I was given an interview by Prince Karađorđević, who was their royalty, and blessed by Pavli, the head of their church. So they curried favors being around me. Although I'm just this schlep from England, you know. So I was living with my girlfriend, but they all really loved me, you know. And I was on Serbian TV and they said, why do you change your name to Stojanović? I said, well, when the whole world goes against one country, there's got to be something fucking cool about you people. So they love me, you know. So I was a big Serb. So yeah, so anyway, when I came back to England, there was a guy called Rex Blumstein, who is and if you're listening, Rex, hi, I love you, man. He's an award-winning film director. He's really an amazing guy, Jewish guy, and he was just looking for a stringer, somebody who could get interviews with the warlords. He was making a series called Roots of Evil. Right. And nobody could get to interview the warlords because they didn't trust anybody from the BBC or anybody of the usual TV companies. Anyway, they trusted me because I never wrote, you know, like I had the Times and the Guardian wanted me to write stories about the Serbs, and I'd never do it. I was like Postman Pat, as I told you. So I said, yeah, I'll interview the warlords because they killed thousands of the boys I used to speak to on the radio, and you'd hear them, you know, breaking the door down and shooting people through the head. It was pretty fucking frightening. Yeah. So I set up these interviews with these warlords, and it was very chilling what they say. What's interesting about a messianic narcissistic megalomaniac, which is a psychosis, by the way, it's a disease. Yeah. Okay, which currently is in big supply right now. Yeah. All over the world, is that they ultimately believe that they can do anything they like because they're God. You know, and you think a messianic narcissistic megalomaniac says, I can kill them all. I killed them all. You think you couldn't kill them all? Yes, they fucking could. They'll kill them all. They love it. It's the glee of a messianic megalomaniac. Okay, so we interviewed them, and it was very chilling. It was like Nazis. I mean, the same way. They love their family. They adore the family. And they go, "Oh, would you like more cream with your coffee? You know, have a cake. You know,
Oh,
this
God.
is and you, against yourself, you start to like them. They're very, very polite, very loving. Tell little jokes, little asides. You think, wow, and they've killed. And you try to remember they killed thousands and thousands of people. So we were obviously at the end of each day, me and Rex were sitting there drinking, thinking, fuck, you know, these people, it's against yourself, you start to like them. It's such a deal, you know. They're very polite. And then we interviewed the head of the Serbian Secret Service. And he said to me on camera, he says, you know, my friend, if you do a bad story about the Serbs, I will kill you. Or someone in my place. And he shook my hand and he looked in my face. And I said, yes, I know, I understand. Wow. And Rex looked at me, he says, fuck, you know, what do you want to do? I said, there's nothing you can do, it's done. And the thing is, I said, what saved me, I guess, because I came back to England, I was worrying all the time, worrying. And when I started to learn that the time of your death is already written, not the how, but the when. And you can't take anybody before their time. If it's their time, it's their time. Yeah. There's nothing you're going to do with it. And then I had experiences leaving the body. So I know it's, you know, so anybody right now is worried and fear, because that's how they get you, these lizards, okay? They get you with fear. Mm-hmm. That's how you train a dog. That's how you train sheep. It's the same way. You think you're different because you're human? No, you ain't. Mm-hmm. So getting easy with it and go, well, if it's my last day, I want to fucking live it. Yeah. If this is my last day, I'm going to live. I'm so happy I'm speaking to you and I get this message out because that's the way we all have to live. And that's what a hippie is. Yeah. A hippie ain't just somebody who's dropping out. You're actually going, I don't care anymore. You can't control me. Mm-hmm. What I really love are the things that are life affirming: friendship, acceptance, goodness. Who cares whether someone else is different? Wonderful. That's like, in my day, it was like, do your thing. What is your thing? Do it. Don't do my thing. What is your thing? Really fucking do it, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
So everybody's trying to do somebody else's thing. Why are you doing that?
Mate, that's all they're doing. They're clones. Everyone's a clone. That's what we're told to be, because if you're not, then you're ostracized, pointed a finger at, and told, you know, you're different. You can't be.
I was invited to go on Britain's Got Talent.
Right.
Last October, when I took my mom on a cruise, and I got this funny phone call from this guy saying, "We want you on Britain's Got," because, you know, I'm related to Amy Winehouse, and my dad was a guy called Frankie Vaughan. Some people might know if he was a singer. Right. And I got this band, and we got into the charts and all that. So they wanted me on and said, oh, it'd be so great. And I knew why they wanted to do it. It was just because of Amy and my dad, and, you know, we'd been in the charts. It wasn't anything particular. So I said, no, there's no way in hell I'm going to go on your program. So he said, why would you say that? I said, because of Simon Cowell. That's why. Why?
It's a perfectly good reason.
Yeah, I mean, judgment. You think music can be judged? Who the hell's he? Putting himself up, and we're all going, oh, he likes it. What, really? You just abdicated your entire humanity because you're still at school. It's time we grew up. Look, even in Christianity, in religion, they say, oh, you need to be born again. No, you don't. You need to fucking grow up. Why are you saying you're born again? They want to keep you as children?
Oh, dear.
It's unbelievable. It's just like, yeah. Huh?
Pretty patronizing as well.
Really, and stupid, you know. Yeah, it's really stupid. So people who I consider to be pretty sharp, living very stupid lives. Yeah. And they ain't happy, you know. So it's your decision how you want to live your life. Yeah. And it's if you're not brave, if you don't have courage, there's this little quiz at the end of your life, and it goes like this: how did I live my life? And am I proud of myself? Did I enjoy it? You know, there's a moment you look in the mirror and you know, you look in your eyes, you go, I like it.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
Or I'm ashamed of you, you know.
You are
So that's it.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter. And you think the age matters? People go, oh, you know, I'm a year older. I mean, I'm going to be 60 this year, you know. So what?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Great. And maybe we'll be having this conversation when I'm in my hundreds, you know.
Yeah, totally. Hopefully.
Oh, yeah. Great, you know. You know, and I want to spread this. That's the only thing I want. That's my only gift to the world, is the one I give to myself. It's the one that makes me happy.
Yeah.
You know, I love to sit and eat with people. I love that, sharing food. The Palestinians are great. They sit and they eat, and they, you know, like I remember one time. Sorry.
They do it in India and Thailand the same. It's really
So beautiful. We sit in these little places. We eat with our you know, our phones on and locked into this virtual reality, and it's not reality. We have sex with porn,
yeah.
and it's not real. You don't have a partner, so you can't function when you've got a partner. One of my clients, he told me, he said, I can't function with my partner anymore. I said, why? He says, you know, I'm just, you know, addicted to porn and everything.
It's a big problem.
Yeah. So I said, just, you know, because the porn is it's, you know, it's hitting too much dopamine in the brain. And so in the end, a normal relationship doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So you're going AI, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got to come back off this AI trip. You know, so and get to what's real. What are the values? Sorry, I'm talking too much, I know.
No, you're not. No, I'm thinking
Okay.
one day we will come off that shit, but at the moment it seems like we're all having it force fed into us a little bit more because of the situation. Some of that's good, right? Because we can do things like this, and
sure,
and that's, you know, there's swings and roundabouts, good and but yeah, when it's actually actively taking out human relationships, that's you know, that's what's killing everyone. It's dividing and separating, and then, you know, we're talking about the fear, and that's what the biggest feeling is for me at the moment, is that fear. And it's really hard, and I think, you know, I'm pretty switched on, and I feel like I know that I'm not really scared, but when you're out there in the supermarket with everyone, with the gloves on, with the face on, you have no choice but to sort of feel it.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you have to come back and reprogram that fear back and go, it's all okay. It's all okay. Get your kit off and get in the garden, mate. Feel that love. Do you know what I mean?
It's true.
So it's
yeah. But I just want to thank you for doing this and to creating something that gives people, you know, nourishes people and nourishes their heart and their soul and the real stuff. You know, this government, all the governments around the world right now, they're not doing anything like that. All they're doing is trying to control. And without even going into what's going down, it's, you know, if you give that big attention, give that small, you know, you know, give small attention to that, you know, and big attention to joy, to happiness, to love. Be more loving, be more caring, you know. And I did a little clip on, I put it on media, where I said, you know, if you want to feel love immediately, if you want to get out of fear immediately, I can do it now for you. Just stop breathing. So just stop breathing. Just stop breathing. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. Feel and think about something that makes you frightened, really frightened. Think about austerity. Think about the vaccines. Think about the control. Think about all this shit that's going down worldwide. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. Now take a breath. Notice how fucking good that is. See?
Oh God.
It's just one breath.
Yeah.
We're one breath away from joy. We're one breath away from appreciation. We're one breath away from what we call divinity. And if we don't find our divinity, we get lost in this stupid idea of humanity, which is not real, actually. It's a theater. We've been caught in a worldwide theater. It's a great production.
Yeah, about that. And yeah, just the whole thing is theater, performance, interplay, fake. What's real?
Yeah, what is real?
That, basically.
Yeah. I would say just clamping down, just cutting out and just getting real with being more, you know, like yesterday, you know, some of my friends came over and we just had this fabulous meal, and just talking about, you know, and supporting each other, and it was just this lovely thing where each person is supporting the other person, you know, rather than, well, what I did is this. Da, da, da.
I think we have very similar friends. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're competing, it's just egomania. See, people have to recognize that egomania is one of the most promoted aspects of human culture right now. It has been for quite a while.
Encouraged.
Yeah. Are you a winner? What are you talking about? You think there are losers? There's no losers.
Yeah.
What does win mean? I mean, that's the stupidity for me of the Olympics. They're ridiculous. Or people getting nominated for a knighthood. Why?
I know. And yeah,
why?
Last time you saw someone on a horse in full gear with that's a knight, isn't it?
My dad was nominated as Lord Lieutenant for the county. He was given a sword. And he said, this is the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever seen.
I mean, he could do theatre then, couldn't he, though? So, all good.
Yeah, you know. And he went, bless him, he went in Glasgow. I work with kids in Glasgow. I used to do a lot of stuff with street kids there who all dying on crack cocaine. Right. My dad was one of the first to go there, and when they were kind of rioting, the kids and marching on Glasgow. And he built a place for them to, a lot of them had beautiful lives because of it. And I went back up there with, I think it was a one show with BBC. And I met some of those people who were kids in those days when my dad helped them. Nobody else in the world would help them. And he did shows to fund them. And they went, oh, I love your fucking father. He was great. You know, hey, why gay, you know.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, you know. And that's the thing about, you know, love. It's strong. It doesn't give a shit. And if you're giving a shit right now, you're being weak. Stop being weak and get strong. Be brave. Be brave for your loved ones. Be brave for yourself. And stop being guided by fear. Yeah. This is an illusion. And you know, that's a daily practice. That's a yoga practice in itself.
It is a daily practice, even for someone who, you know, thinks, like I said before, like I think I've already got it worked out. You just get tested and pulled in different directions, and then I go, you know, and I start, you know, doing the thing that I don't want to do, which is judging other people. I don't want to do that, but I'm a human with a human brain, so I'm gonna. Sure. And then I go, you know, why is everyone watch this woman fill her whole car with loo roll? I'm not even shitting you. Good word.
Yeah, that was a funny slip.
And you know, my initial thing was, oh, fucking thickie. And then very quickly I was like, well, she's just scared. So I smiled at her and just waved, and I'm sure that she knew that I was like, you're being a bit of a thickie, young lady. But yeah, compassion. It's hard to be fearful and compassionate at the same time. So yeah, that's a difficult thing.
But I think it's also robust to understand we're all learning. We're at different stages. We're not perfect, and all these knobs you see on Facebook presenting themselves as if they're perfect. I mean, it's
gurus, the ultra spiritual gurus.
Oh God! And you know, I was with Osho. You know, I mean, I know every time you quote an Osho, why don't you just acknowledge where you got that from, please?
Yeah.
You know, what is that? You didn't invent it.
Or just make your own up. Oh. That's what I say. Make your own up, mate.
Make it up as you go along. Live your life rather than living sagaciously through somebody else. You know, and you'll find this a great adventure. You know, I look back through my life and everybody said I did it wrong. Well, you know what? I'd never do it different.
No.
You know, I loved it. And so I found that for me, saying goodbye or cleaning out that which was fallacious or empty was the way I found that which was worthwhile and fulfilling. See, when you go to a new town, like if you get on the train or a bus or a car, you go to a new town, you say, okay, I'm going to a new town, fake up with the old place. You go to a new town and there's nobody there you know. Mm-hmm. You don't know it. I mean, maybe it's a town in a country you don't even speak the language. You say, well, what am I going to do? Oh, God. Well, maybe I better go back. No, just wait a little. Go to a bar and have a drink. You'll meet someone. You'll have a conversation. And then bit by bit, you'll find different people. And it's suddenly you expand, you know. And so what are you going to do? Keep doing the same thing all your lives until you're like 60 or 70 and then go, what the fuck did I do in my life? Where did that go? So we've only got a limited time in these bodies. Okay, so the protoplasm holds you for a limited time. Like I told you, the time of your death is written, not the how, but the when. So you can't stay a second longer and you can't go 1 second before your time. So give up the struggle.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, and if I'm right, and you don't have to accept this, if that's the case, live full. My grandma says, she says, what are those? I said, they're hands. She says, so. She says, what do they do? I says, they grab hold. She says, don't grab hold with one, grab hold with both. Whatever you do, would do with both. And she walked from Kiev Nebegnev in Ukraine all the way to England to be with her sister Hyindra in Liverpool. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, she walked.
Oh my word. What a woman.
So I want to honor her. And all of you guys listening now, you've got people in your history, in your background, ancestors you don't even know, who all did heroic things. You are the result of those people. If you live like a wimp, you've only got yourself to blame. And your children's children's children, if they live, will have you to blame. How are you going to answer them? That's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, even if you don't have children, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you leave on this earth something that is nourishing. You give back to Mother Earth, and she's in pain.
Yeah,
she's in pain.
Definitely. So, oh my goodness. I wanted to one more thing, because you spoke about joy and laughter, and I know that, you know, we obviously like a bit of a laugh, don't we, David?
Yeah, for sure.
You bring this into your yoga practice and yoga beats, which is you move within the postures, don't you, and use music. And just how sort of, you know, revolutionary that is in yoga, of course, because I guess they're like, well, no, you need to do it this way, and this is how. You know, I'm from a dancing background and martial arts, so I do something called Om and Base, which is a 7 chakra yoga flow with chakra dancing. It's basically a rave.
Beautiful.
In the name of spirituality.
Right.
So it's, some people would say to me that I'm a charlatan and that I've ruined it, and I'm sure that people have thrown shit at you. But, you know, how you think, basically, how this has benefited people. How do you think this has benefited people in your experience? And how laughter and joy, you know, which is part of the Zen tradition.
Right.
And it's instinct, isn't it? You feel better if you're smiling and laughing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not into serious yoga classes, quite frankly.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
No.
What's your vibe?
Okay. Well, I was the ultimate egomaniac before I went to Serbia, because I was an Ashtanga teacher. I was doing all the 3 series. Elon Freeman, who's a great comedian and a great yoga teacher, he was one of the guys I used to employ at Third Space. I used to run Third Space. And I was so fucking up my own.
I've just been talking to him earlier today.
He is fucking good. Anybody listening to Elon Freeman, love you, baby. He's great. He's great. He's so hysterical, and everybody was freaked out every time he used to do his characters in the yoga show.
Trev.
And I'd be crying. I was rolling on the floor crying. I adore him. He's one person who breaks out into his own freedom. If you want a real guru, go and see Elon. He's a guru. He's a real day guru. Okay, so I was caught up in my stupid practice, and I used to teach these kids once in a while. And every time I'd say, okay, stand still in a posture, or keep still, and they kind of wriggle and move. I'd say, no, stand still. They wriggle and move. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, so in my private practice, I would do that, and it felt like really good. But I'd never do it in front of people because I was too much of an egomaniac. And then when I got caught in the war, I didn't have, anything except survival as my ultimate, obsession. And so I thought, oh, fuck this, I don't think I'm going to live anyway. So I'm going to practice this way. So I used to whack on, Tower of Power, James Brown, and I'd move in postures, and it felt amazing. So I got the soldiers doing that. And I made a deal with the sky that if I ever got out alive, that's the way I teach.
Wicked.
Yeah. So when I came back, I was teaching that way. And I'd only had done, as I told you, only, you know, like people who, I used to do this class in Rowan's on a Sunday morning. And it was full of people who've been partying all night, clubbers and body workers. And I had the yoga, you know, authorities say, you know, he's destroyed 5,000 years of yoga, don't go to his classes. You know, I mean, you know, they may be finally maybe a yoga elder, whatever that means. But in those days, I got slammed. But all the body workers, osteopaths and physiotherapists said it was the best thing you could do for your body.
Yeah.
Plus, another thing that happened was that what it does, it gets you out of positionality. Now, positionality is a psychosis.
Right.
You think it's just a physical thing? No, it's a mental thing. That's why people, when they're trying to, that's why they put on a tie and a suit. They're trying to project something to you. It's a psychotic thing. And they don't laugh too much. They're very serious. You know, you say about someone, oh, they're very serious, which means they're just fucked up, basically. That's all it is. If you can't laugh or giggle, there's something wrong with you. You've got a psychotic problem and you need to see a therapist. Which most people do need to see a therapist immediately, but they make a lot of money, so they don't need to do it because our society, you know, worships money only. Okay, so that's the ultimate. Okay, so I always moved, and then when I became a yoga elder, it kind of was like the seal of approval, although I didn't really care anyway. But I was passing it on. Now I started to teach it. I was also working with, you know, I did these big raves with DJs, live DJs, and we used to do this, the Yoga Beats club night at the Cobden Club every second Sunday. We were victims of our own success. We did Big Chill, Glastonbury, Womack, you know, did loads of festivals. And we'd have like 1,000 people all, you know, freaking out. And for me, that was the whole point. And then once they're freaking out, they've thrown off their inhibitions, because that's the whole point. Mm-hmm. You get them to stop and go, okay, now how do you feel? Close your eyes just a minute, just catch this. And it's like riding a wild animal, which is what we are. We're wild animals. And if we don't experience the wildness is meant to get you from A to B. It's meant to travel you. If you don't engage that, if you don't take a risk, you didn't live your life. You lived somebody else's life. Mm-hmm. So moving a posture not only moves you physically, moves you psychologically, and it moves you spiritually. Mm-hmm. And then as you move, you go, oh, maybe I'll try that. Let me try this. Maybe I'm not going to eat the same meal. Maybe I'm going to invite some friends along that I've never even met before. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll take my stupid mask off. You know, maybe I'll smile at someone. Yeah, and then the ego goes, oh no, but you don't know them. And you have to turn around to the ego and say, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, totally.
You have to do that because it's the ego. Look, the ego's there. Let me talk about it just very briefly. Is that okay to do that?
You crack on. All good.
Okay. All right, darling. So we stood on our back legs as Homo sapiens. We're just an ape, basically. Mm-hmm. And we developed the frontal context of the brain, the cortex of the brain, you know, and we became what we've known as, you know, Homo sapiens. Okay. So we learned through cooperation to hunt, to get food supplies, and then we brought that back and we shared it. Okay, that's how we did it. Now the ego was basically as I understand it, it's a very simplistic view, it's kind of an insurance policy to say, unless you move your ass, you're not going to get fed. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so this program goes into overdrive. It works with fear. It's very easy not only for it to take over your life. This is what egomania actually is. You say, well, I'm not an egomaniac. Well, how come you keep eating the same food all the time? How come you keep wearing the same clothes except at the weekends where you wear something different? You know, all that shit, you know, yeah. Because it's your ego controlling you, okay? Because we don't do that sort of things. We go to 10 weeks every year. Well, go somewhere else, you know, find something else. You know, it's boring. Anyway, so the ego will keep you in one pattern all the time. you have to make it your servant, otherwise it will master you.
Mhm.
When you make it your servant, then you start to have your life. And when people say, well, how do I do that? I said, it's very simple. Whatever the ego says, do the opposite.
Excellent. Or just tell it to fuck off, like you said, yeah.
Yeah. So if it says sit down, go for a run. If it says go for a run, have a bath. If it says party all night, stay in. If it says stay in, go and party all night. Whatever it says, do the opposite. You're either the master or the slave.
Yeah.
We either make the people in government our masters, and society and the police, or we're the masters.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, when we're the masters, nobody tells us anything. And so, you know, I sat with all the students, all the population in Belgrade in Republic Square where they brought the tanks in, and you know, they fired on us, and you know, we ran. But did it end? No.
Mm-hmm.
And it spread. It spread amongst all the people. And in the end, Serbs were talking to Croatians, and Croatians talking to Bosnians, you know, because there was a fatwa. You didn't talk to Croatians, you know, and I was part of the whole rave scene.
Yeah.
Over there. And we broke through. So it just takes enough people, because they're very small in number, by the way.
Yeah. We're a lot more.
Yeah. But it just needs people to be brave. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And you need to master your own ego, because your ego is programmed by them.
Of course.
So
from when we were wee.
Yeah, that's right, babes. That's right. So no, again, you know, it's just, I really want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's so good to, you know, I thought I was alone. I never really went on social media or anything, because when I came back from India doing my spiritual apprenticeship at the foothills of the Himalayas, as all white middle-class skinny women do right now. That's you know, I came back and I was like, what's all this shit on Instagram? What's going on? And I vowed that I'm on there, but I only do comedy on there, or I take the piss out of spirituality. And I really liked your one where you did your theatrics of the spiritual world, where you had some rose quartz and some feathers. And you were like, yeah, you don't need this stuff. Put it down and just be kind.
That's really great.
And I always say, just don't be a dick.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You're right. I got to tell you, so I have a master. So I know I'm going on a lot, but I had this master. She was this woman called Clara Buck, and she was Shando Ramit's master and Angela Farmer. If you ever want to check out those people, he's Shadow Yoga. Yeah. So we had the same master, and I was being invited by Patabi Joyce to go to Mysore, and he'd come on the phone, and he said to, you know, that his disciple said, oh, he's going to speak to you. Because I was this big Ashtanga teacher, and he just said, come. So I packed this bag, you know, that's all he said. I mean, kind of a weird thing to say. And I packed this bag, and my dad says, oh, you know, look, I met this woman, she knows this great yogini called Clara, and I want you to meet her. I said, Dad, I'm going to Mysore, I'm going to India. He says, I want you to see this woman. And my dad, you know, you couldn't argue with him. He was just like, when he had a thing, that's it. So I said, oh, fuck, okay, all right. So I missed the plane, and I had to go to the Finchley Road to see this. I love my dad, don't get me wrong. I mean, I really adored him. And I knew that it'd be something fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I knocked on the door, and this little old lady with a blue rinse opened the door, and she says, oh, darling, are you David? I says, yes, I think I am. Who are you? Are you Clara? She says, yes. So she says, come. So I walked in and past all these little Hungarian painted eggs. You know, the Hungarians have all these painted eggs everywhere. So I sat down in this little lace, chintzy little lounge, and from like another century. She says, so what do you drink? So I says, I don't drink. She says, why? I says, I'm a yogi. She says, but you're Russian. I said, it doesn't mean I have to drink. So she says, would you have me drink alone? So I says, oh, okay. I knew it was a challenge. So she poured out this Parlinka, which, if you know, it's a Hungarian like schnapps. It's like 150% proof. You could run a car on it. You know, it's like made from pears. Yeah. So she says, Prus. So I thought I'd do the Russian thing, just knock it back. You know? She says, no, Polacco, slowly, darling. Smell the pears of Hungary. So I thought the woman's like clinically insane. She needs locking up and key throwing away. So I took a little sip of it, and immediately it blows you out because it's like meth or something. I mean, Christ, it's just so much. And she looked at me, she came right close to my face. She says, darling, you didn't come here to be a yogi. You came here to be a full human being. Don't miss out on your life because you're a scaredy cat.
Oh, wow. What a legend.
I can't tell you. She blew my head off. So I thought, wow, this woman is insane. And then she says, okay, show me what you can do. So I used to do a routine that used to blow everybody away. It was like ridiculous. I mean, I'm a contortionist basically, but in those days I thought it was yoga. It was just backflips into the splits and all sorts of stupid shit that people think is really useful. It's not. I got to tell you, anybody listening, I think their stuff is useful like that. It's not. Try be kind to yourself. Be loving to your neighbor. That's useful, okay? That's what we need more today. So anyway, I did all this bollocks. And then I thought she'd be really impressed because everybody gets blown away with what I used to do, okay?
Expectations.
Yeah. And she just says, darling, what do you think of my hand? So I was really insulted. So I says, I don't think anything of your bloody hand. She said, you know, darling, every cell in this hand is made of love. It's made of love. You have to love this body. Love it. Otherwise, it kick you out. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to stay with her a few more years. I stayed with her to the end of her life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was really something else.
That's...
She was, yeah, she was completely iconoclastic. She didn't care.
Yeah.
She really didn't care.
That's the sort of thing that I'm, you know, that's what I believe is real yoga. And that's why I get so pissed off with other stuff. Because I'm like, who gives a shit if you can do a handstand on one finger? Like,
yeah.
Why does that make you enlightened? My nan is enlightened because she says fucking bollocks a lot and she doesn't do a handstand, okay? So
there was one guru up just up in the Himalayas. I'm not going to go into who he is and where it is, but he's huge. He's huge. And all these skinny yogis would go there. They'd make pilgrimages to see him. And as soon as they meet him, he'd push a bowl of category in front of you and go, eat.
Yeah.
And they go like, eat. And he'd make them eat. And, and afterwards they'll be like, and he goes, see, you feel different now.
Yes.
Change.
You feel alive.
That's
I'm
it.
a proud owner of a no pack. I have got a no pack, except the only 6-pack I have is in the frickin' fridge. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, give me an anorexic handstander. I don't want to be. I don't want to make me do it.
No. And people are doing this. It's that body image. It's like, you know, like I have a friend and she said, oh, I'll put on more weight. I said, well, there's more of you to love.
Exactly. Yeah.
What are you worried about?
Like the paintings by Botticelli. They were sexy bitches.
They really were.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You gotta have
gorgeous.
a lady belly. Big lady belly out. Like, you know, you gotta have your cake and chocolate chakras fully aligned and go.
Yeah. And people living in shame of themselves, you know, and you know, the thing about this programming, I'm just gonna tell you, it's very simple. I mean, like you think like, particularly with fashion, check it out. You go like, oh, I'm never gonna wear that. It looks really dumb. And then you see an advert, like a bus goes by or some hoarding, you see something. And then about a week later, you go, you know what? I'm going to try one of those tops on. I'm going to try those shoes on. I'm going to try. Whereas a week before, you think, oh, that looks fucking stupid. Because it takes 1 second to get programmed. 1 second. 1 second. And when you understand that programming happens that quick, then you understand the control society has over you. It can market to you. So self-awareness isn't some idea of reaching nirvana. It's about you being, you know, in charge of your own realities. If we give a little bit to anybody else, guess what? You don't have your reality anymore. And it's up to people. Do you want your life or do you want someone else's life?
Yeah.
You know, do you want Simon Cowell's life? Do you want the government's life? What do you want? And it's really a question. And it's not about staying home and protecting lives. That's not about that. It's about living your life.
Mm-hmm.
You have the right to live your life. That's the sanctity of your life. That's the inherent sanctity of every human being on this planet. Unless we get that, we have not evolved.
Yeah.
We're living as sheep. So that's
Yeah.
it.
I like your sheeple. That's great. It's real good. I'm a fan of wordplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
And
so
theatrics to a point, you know, as long as we know that that's exactly what they are. That's all they are.
they are.
As a tool, yeah.
It's like if you're transgender, you know, or because gender is the biggest lie of all. I got a wonderful friend, Lana Pillay, and she's just wonderful. It's just adorable. And we were talking about gender, and I said, I don't know what gender I am. I was born as a man. I have no idea which way it's going to go. I don't even care. What a joy not to want to know. I don't want to determine it because I'm not living by someone else's framework. I live by, you know.
It's very imposed and
Yeah.
constructed, and yeah. So
we need all our brothers and sisters. We need all our communities.
mm.
We need our transgender. We need our gay. We need our straight. We need our whatever. And there's no straight. This is bullshit. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
There's only straights and freaks, you know.
Funny little fairy tale, if ever there was one.
Yeah, really there is. Really is. Jack and Jill. How about
Yeah.
that? What a load of shit. I mean, we're fed this stuff, you know.
Yeah,
so I think for yogis, we have to have the audacity, you know, to break it down and say what is true, what is not. You know, even with my partner, you know, I don't even like calling her the partner, because as soon as I put that in the box, it's dead. It's over. She's the partner.
Yeah.
Then there's no excitement. There's no thrill. Whenever people come together in a relationship, come together new. Don't say, oh, well, that's my partner. Because as soon as you do that, something kind of starts dying.
Yeah.
I noticed it in me. And that's what I would share. You know, to make something new, every moment's new. That's gorgeous. And that's advanced. You know, we need to advance our species now.
Well, let's give it a go.
Well, you're doing it, baby.
Yeah, so are you, mate. Nice one.
Yeah, nice one too. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. This has been bloody brilliant.
Okay.
One love. Thanks very much.
One love too. Bless you, baby. Bye.
I'm going to stop the recording.